the daggone thing.
Here. There we go. All right. Welcome to What's Happening in Your Neck of the Woods with your talk show host, Dr. Elenora Woods. And I have on the set with me Ms. Sheryl Huff, who is the president of the National Action Network from Nashville, Middle Tennessee. She kind of got stuck here with me. She was coming to stay at the Airbnb, and then it snowed. So they're snowed in with me. So welcome on the show with me today.
It is my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. And also, you all, I don't even have to really introduce him because everybody know him. He is iconic in our sense of the word because he has the only African-American print-owned newspaper in the entire city, and I would say, for that matter, for the whole Hamilton County, the Chattanooga News Chronicle owner and historian, the one to go to for Black history in this city, Mr. John Edwards. Welcome on to What's Happening in Your Neck of the Woods. So glad to have you today, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Woods, and your guest. I just appreciate being a party of this program. I appreciate working with you and the efforts that we're doing to educate people on their history in particular.
Yes, absolutely. And we are very excited because the Alton Park Development Corporation, which I have the honor and privilege actually to serve as the president, has something major going on right now, as we are the owners of the Chattanooga African American Educational Heritage Museum, and we've just completed the what we call the slave exhibition with the artist Jerry Allen, and now the American Legion post number 0291, along with our esteemed historian Mr. John Edwards, are putting on the Civil War exhibition honoring and paying tribute to our African-American soldiers. So I'm going to really open it up to Mr. John Edwards because he has been very instrumental, and I would say the key person with making sure that the artifacts and the things that we have on this exhibit is there. He's worked very closely with the Chickamauga battlefield, and I'm going to let him kind of give you all a little synopsis of his relationship with the Chickamauga battlefield and the fallen soldiers and all these other esteemed organizations and foundations that he is a part of. And I just feel really blessed to have come to know you and to be in your company. It is an honor, a distinct honor, and a pleasure to have you on WPTP 100.1 FM radio in Chattanooga. And, you know, we are one of two Black-owned radio stations here in Chattanooga, the other being WNOO, which we give heads and tribute to as well for holding it down on that side of town and in the city for all these many years. Kudos to them over there. They're doing a great job. But I am just going to turn the mic over to you because the people need to know, first of all, a little bit about you, Mr. Edwards, in terms of how planted your feet are and how rooted you are in this community, in the Black community in general. So go ahead, take the show.
Well, thank you, Dr. Woods. Thank you again. But I owe all I do now and the things that I'm involved in, I really owe to my father, who was just so involved in history and even growing up, he taught us, about history and the contributions of African Americans, and it was just so inspiring. I was fortunate enough to grow up in Nashville, Tennessee, literally in the shadows of Tennessee State Fish University, Meharry Medical College, and the Baptist Theological Seminary. I actually, all of those organizations, and I even as a child, I played in the grass at their facilities, and And sometimes as a kid, they run us off because we were playing ball at Meharry Hospital in the yard or something. But I had friends there, just in the community, friends who were, some were very educated, well-to-do, but they always worked to lift the bottom of the community up, and they exposed other people to what was going on. And that was an advantage I had living in Nashville, to be exposed to all the prominent people who were making history, writers, educators, just names that we hear today that are famous, and just an honor to meet those people. And I played on the campus of Tennessee State as a little boy, where a lot of my relatives went. I had relatives teaching there. I'd be on the track playing, and Wilma Rudolph or Ralph Boston, who are Olympic gold medalists, they would watch me and say, "Hey, don't do that. Stay out of trouble. You're going to fall. Don't go up there." That kind of stuff. I grew up. So I say that to say, a lot of times they say that African Americans, if we don't see things, we feel like we can't be there. Years ago we watched TV, we didn't see any black cowboys, we didn't see black astronauts, we didn't see black people who doing things that we saw white people doing. But having that experience at growing up in a town that had 4 African American colleges, and seeing people contribute to the world, black inventors. Did you know the person, one of the students that went to Tennessee State actually invented the cell phone? People like that. He graduated the same. He was in we were in the same class, and so it just is amazing. So I'm saying it because I could see myself being somebody, because other people around me were accomplishing that, and they were on the world stage. So I could see that, I could look at a program and not see a black cowboy, but I not seeing even a military hero, and feel like I could be that someday, So,
yes.
And my mother and father, my mother used to drag me over Fish University so I could hear the poets speak, because I wanted to be playing baseball. Something in the yard. Mama, I don't want to go. Come on, boy, you going anyway. So I love that they expose me to those kind of things.
Yes. And I tell you, we today, our young adult parents, they need to hear this today, because it's those type of parents, the parents that you had, and even the parents that me and Sheryl had, that kept us grounded and rooted. And I would say they are the reason why we have seen the blessings that we've seen and have been able to do the things that we're able to do. And so I'm just always, I wish I could clone you. I said I'm going to give you an honorary doctoral degree because you are a walking history book and a legend in every sense of the word. And if we could just clone you, I tell you, our history, and we talk about it every day, our history is being erased. It's really not being erased, because the history is in us and we have it. All we have to do is replicate it, put it down, record it, and make sure that our children receive this rich history of African Americans, and I would say Black people in general. But I would say you and others in your age group, the people whose shoulders we stand on, we should just really just get immersed into you and just absorb everything that you have. And I say this a lot of times, young people need to listen. We have to listen, and we have to give respect, and we have to give tribute. Yes, we learn a lot of new stuff, but it ain't nothing like the old stuff. And the old stuff wins every day. And I'm just so proud of you, and for you standing firm and tall and continuing to do what you do. I know you are the founding, you and your dad was very, I think the persons, the individuals that created the Mary Walker Foundation.
My
And
father.
we're gonna give you, yes, we're gonna give you an opportunity to really expound upon what's going on with that as well. But I want a little bit deeper, Dr. Edwards. I'm gonna give you that honorary doctoral degree. It's
Let
the honorary
say this.
doctoral degree.
Let me say this, Dr. Woods. Before you clone me, let me work on some of my faults.
All that,
Yeah, let me work on some of my
I
faults.
think none is perfect but the Father. So we're gonna
Yeah.
clone you and take the faults with it. Okay. So we ain't worried about that. But Cheryl, I think me and Cheryl can work on getting the honorary doctoral degree.
Yes.
The things that we can do. With Cheryl having the connections that she has, and we're very close with Reverend Al Sharpton and the whole crew with the National Action Network. Here they got me in Chattanooga, starting the founding chapter here, Chattanooga Scenic City, Tennessee National Action Network. We bad to the bone. We got some stuff going on. That's why I got Cheryl on the show today. She had no business coming to the Airbnb here and getting stuck with this snow. Now she on the show today. But we are just super excited about the exhibit. But before we get there, I want you to tell the audience, because we got people listening from all over the world here on WPTP, a little bit about your background when it comes to the military, because that's what we are really gonna focus on this show is the Civil War. Give us your background, because I'm telling you, I get teared up, choked up every time I think about the sacrifices that our military men have made, and definitely the ones that you have made.
Well, Dr. Woods, the military was something I never expected. And I remember a conversation that I had with my mother. I used to go to the kitchen with my mother and help her dry the dishes, and that was an opportunity for me to have conversations with her. And we became really, really close. I think it was 1960, and we had just started sending people to Vietnam, not as fighting, but as advisors. That was what they said. And so she told me that one time that I was always concerned about having sons. And I said, well, what do you mean about that, mother? What do you mean? She said, because when wars came along, I was afraid that they would come and take my sons. And I said, Mother, that's so long away. I said, by the time I'm of age, that war would be over. But I was wrong. I was really wrong. And it began to, as years went on, it began to kind of haunt me, because it was getting closer and closer, and troops were still over there. I wanted no part of that. It was an unpopular war, and I know none of my friends, nobody really wanted to go. And
Right.
and they were so
Of
hard.
course not.
They were so hard on the soldiers who did go, and they didn't respect them. But I did one thing when I was at Tennessee State. I was an introvert most of my life. I didn't
I
talk.
can't imagine you being an introvert.
I was.
Well,
I was.
maybe.
I had this growing up. In the first grade, second grade, I was the life of the party.
Oh, okay. Now I can see you being the life of the party, but I can't see you being an
Hey,
introvert. Keep going.
a friend of mine named
Shout
Charles.
out to Phi Beta Sigma.
All right, Prophet.
Shout out to Phi Beta Sigma fraternity.
Hey, well, I didn't talk. I started developing a teeth problem, and you're a dentist. My teeth started to rot in front, so I wouldn't
Yes.
open my mouth. I was so embarrassed, that I just kind of withdrew, and that's where I'm saying that I became an introvert because of that. And you know how kids are.
Okay.
Kids are so cruel that they would always taunt me and
they cruel. They
Yeah.
cruel. They'll walk up into you in a minute and say your teeth black.
Yeah. And then I remember my mother, when I went back to TSU, I remember my mother taking me up to Meharry Medical College, because they had a dentist school there. and they would work on you for
Yes,
free,
yes.
you know. So I said, let me do
Yes.
that. Let me just look into that. And I went up there. I got fortunate enough to get my teeth fixed, and so I could open my mouth a little bit and talk a little bit more. I probably talk too much and got in trouble. But one thing, another mistake I made is going back to school, because I came to Chattanooga in 1963, graduated from Riverside High School, went back to TSU. But I grew up in that neighborhood, so I'm going to all the parties. I got all my friends there, and I'm not paying attention to my studies.
Oh yeah, just partying.
I'm saying I'm partying. I'm partying. The girls are paying me a little attention now, talking. So one semester, I got put on probation for one semester. That's when I got the letter from them, because as long as you got 15 hours back then, you were safe from the military draft. So,
right.
Yeah. But on a serious note, I was walking down the street. My cousin and I, he still lives in Chattanooga. He's my third cousin, but we were like brothers. And we were walking down the street, and some guys came out of the local pool hall, and they said, two of my friends that I went to school with in Nashville, junior high school, they had been killed on the same day. They went Vietnam. One was a Marine and one was in the Army. That brought the war closer to me.
Yeah.
It touched me in a way that it never had before. A week after that, I used to live with my grandmother and grandfather, all of my brothers and stuff like that. When we went to Tennessee State. When we go back, we stay with our grandfather and grandmother.
Right, that's common.
Yeah, So I used to when I got my own apartment, I would call my grandmother on a regular basis, and I called her, and she said, "John, you got a letter here," and from the back then the letter used to come from the President of the United States, and I knew what the letter started off with. It always started off with greetings.
Yeah.
That's greetings. This is Uncle Sam.
Right before they get ready to shaft you. Yeah.
I said, read it to me. I said, what does it start off with? It started off with greetings. And Lord have mercy. That was, I came home, got ready. I trained at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, in helicopter assault and all that kind of stuff. But I was still hoping, even while in training, I would not have to go to Vietnam.
Right.
I went out for the basketball team in Kentucky at Fort Campbell. I'm telling you, I wanted to make the team. I played that day like Michael Jordan. I hit 18 points. I said, and I won't go to Vietnam.
Right, you gonna make the team.
I was just waiting for them to call my name. Call my name. Days went by, they didn't call my name, but they did call my name for 20 of us out of the whole company. They called 20 of us to go to a room, and in that room they brought out these rifles. This was the newest rifle in the army at that time, was the M16. Now every weapon in the military is based on that first M16. Well, we had to pull it apart, put it back together, pull it apart, put it back together. I kind of knew where I was going then. Yeah, that was a hint.
Wow. Wow.
So anyway, I went to Vietnam 1969 on the 4th of July. I'm leaving Chattanooga on the 4th.
Not on the 4th.
I'm catching a plane out of Chattanooga. Matter of fact, first time I ever rode on a plane. And I'm catching, my grandparents were here and my parents, and they saw me off, and, I got on that plane and went to California first, and then Hawaii, Okinawa, and then Vietnam. Got out of that plane and seemed like the air was so thick you could touch it, And I'm 18 years old. I had stood up in church before that and told the congregation that I was taking God with me, and I prayed that He would bring me back, and He did. He brought me back.
Right.
But while I was in Vietnam, I understand the situation. You still had to deal with racism and things like that. But I also noticed, even while I was in combat, that if you didn't have any rank, you would be carrying stuff, doing the heavy lifting, you know. So that's one of the reasons I got this back problem now. You know, I was carrying heavy equipment for like 12, 15 miles, and it was excruciating. And I started telling my company commanders, I said, this is not humanly possible. It's cruel. I said, my back is hurting. And I said,
Right.
my only way to get out of this, doctor, was to show some leadership so I could move up in rank. So I had been a Boy Scout for a long time. I went all the way to Explorer, the first level. The next level would have been the top level. But I went all the way to Explorer. My mother was over a scout troop at her house, and kids and that would meet at her house. And I learned a lot in
Right.
scouting that prepared me for, especially, living, off the land, and how to, make fires, just different things, leadership and stuff like that. And so I started showing, some leadership among my peers. And one day I was waiting for a friend to come back. They had gone out on a patrol. And this guy named was Vincent Hall, and he was from New Orleans. We started off with not liking each other at all, but came to be close friends. So I was waiting on him to come back, and my platoon sergeant came by, and he threw a little package to me, and I didn't know what it was. Yeah, and I picked it up, and it was sergeant stripes. I haven't been in Vietnam 4 months, and I'm already getting sergeant stripes.
Oh, wow. You was working it.
Yeah. I became a squad leader. I have a squad of 5 other people. I never lost a person in combat. I'm so proud that not one of my people even got wounded. I was the only one who got wounded, you know. So, but we looked out for each other. But let me tell you, on that day, and I'll tell you about Vincent. When the patrol came back, Vincent was not with them. Vincent
Oh, no.
he had stepped on a booby trap of mine, and he got killed. Vincent and I, you can't really spend the money that you make is going into the bank, because you're in the jungle. So my money is building up, and we used to sit down and talk about what we were going to do when we got out with our money. He was going to buy a certain kind of car. I was going to buy one, and we were going to ride down Bourbon Street with our new cars, and just
Right.
be all that, and he didn't make it back, and
That is awesome.
anyway,
Oh, wow.
the story could, it could go so long, but there were 2 situations where I was recommended for the Bronze Star. To make it short, we had to go up in the mountains. A plane had crashed in Cambodia, and we didn't have any. We were not supposed to even go to Cambodia. They didn't have any special troops in the area that do things like that. But a fighter plane had crashed in the top of the mountain, and they needed to go get it and get the technology off of it before the enemy came and got it. And they didn't have any special forces in the area. A helicopter came down at night while we were in the field, in the jungle, resting, sleeping overnight. A helicopter came down, and I knew something was wrong, because helicopters don't usually fly at night. And so some officers came off that helicopter. They called my squad up there, and they asked us, they gave us permission to go to Cambodia, across Cambodia, where we're not supposed to be. Go up in that mountain and retrieve those things off the plane, and try to find out if the pilot survived. Well, unfortunately, the pilot did not survive. That was an experience of a lifetime. I mean, going up that mountain, not knowing what we were doing, because that was not our forte, and coming back in one piece, and with the technology that we needed. And We did get some enemy fire once we got to the small river and waiting for the helicopter to come and get it. But I survived that, and that's when I got the Bronze Star.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. You're just so amazing. Your life story. And I'm sorry for just a moment. There was somebody wanting to know how to get in contact with you. So I'm going to give them your information. So that's what I was doing, fooling around right there. People, that was a veteran. People want to, they want to get involved. And so many people that are out there dying and hurting that are veterans don't really know who to contact, who to reach out to.
Right.
And they're watching this show this morning, or their loved ones are watching the show. And I'm gonna, at the end of the show, we're gonna put up information on how they can contact us, how they can contact you, and how they can contact the military folk that are part of this exhibit, and get the help that they need. I'm telling you, I'm floored. I'm full. And every time I go through the museum and see the sacrifices that the military folks have done, especially our Black soldiers, I even get more full because they don't tell that story. That's a part of history that they're trying to suppress and get rid of. But you all have sacrificed. Some, like you said, your two friends lost their life.
Yeah.
How dare anyone try to remove Black history from American history? Because Black history is American history. You all are part of it. And if it had not been, I think if I heard it right, the first person that lost their life in the war for this country was a Black man.
Right.
Yes. And so we are going to do everything that we can through the African American Educational Heritage Museum, not only to showcase what Black folks have done and the contributions to the America that we know, but we're going to make sure that that part of our history don't get ripped out of the pages. We're going to educate our kids. That's why the museum is free for all of our children, because we want them to come and learn, and we want their parents to bring them. We know the schools are between a hard place and a rock, but we know that our churches are still there, and they can make appointments to bring tours through our museum so that these young folks can be educated. We even went a step further, Dr. Edwards, got that name now. We even went a step further to hire a gentleman who had more than 50 years of experience. You know him, Harold Bryson, to teach African history. He is a scholar as well, the educational component of Black history, as we know it or don't know it. And he will be teaching it starting February. In fact, we've got an appointment to get all his dates, and we're going to be uploading it. Our marketing director, who's part of this show today, that's making it possible for us to go live, is going to make it possible for everybody to fill out the application to join the program. And we're going to even try to figure out a way that if you're not in Chattanooga and you can't attend it in person, that you can do it virtually. So we are all we've got. If we let our children down, if we allow our history to be ripped out of the pages and don't do anything about it, then it's our fault. So me and Sheryl, we're in that age group that we're looking at you, Dr. Edwards, and those that are in your age group. And we're saying that we can let you down, like you couldn't let Martin Luther King down and all the folks that came before you. You continue the legacy, the legend, and passing the information on down to us. So we have to do what we're supposed to do and make sure we pass the torch down to our children and grandchildren. And that's why we're here today. That's why the African American Museum was brought into play in the first place. We've got an African American Museum, but this one is teaching the real history of African Americans from the beginning all the way to where we are today. And that's crucial. That is crucial. Yeah, we know we've got some black folks who've done some great things in Hollywood, and that's not to criticize anybody.
Yeah.
But we have got to also maintain the deep-rooted history of African Americans from the beginning, when we were first brought over, even before we were brought over here.
Mm-hmm.
All the way back to Africa, where it first started, all the way to where we are today. That is our responsibility. That's our moral responsibility, our moral obligation. And we owe it not only to ourselves, but we owe it to our children. And we also owe it to all the other Americans who don't know African history, because it's unfair that the other cultures are also being robbed of this great, rich history. That's what makes America great. America wouldn't be America if it was just one type of person. And we all are part of the melting pot. And so it's important that everybody know about everybody's culture. I want to know about the Asian culture. I want to know about the Hispanic culture. I want to know about the European culture. I want to know about everybody's culture, because that's what makes us really who we are. When you're educated and understand other people's culture, it's only then that you can be the best that you can be, because you're equipped and you are knowledge, you're empowered with the knowledge that God has given you. And that's how we can move forward as a country. So talk to us a little bit about how you got involved with the Civil War exhibition that, by the way, is off the chain, y'all. It is off the chain at the Chattanooga Civic Center at Mountainside African American Museum. Talk to us how you got involved, and then where are we right now?
Well, my dad and I, we just used to look at different areas of history in general, and we got some information on the Civil War. So we went out to the battlefield, Chickamauga battlefield. That's one of the largest battlefields in the country, actually. The second largest battle between the Union and the Confederacy happened right there in Chickamauga. Gettysburg was the largest. But there's just a lot of history there. But when we went there, we noticed that there was not a lot of presence of African Americans who had served in the Civil War. And so we went to the heads of the organization and talked to them about that we would like to see a better presence of African Americans who fought. We certainly gave them some statistics on African Americans. Almost 200,000 had fought in the Civil War, and 16 to 21, I believe. There's two numbers. One says 16. I go with the 21 who won the Congressional Medal of Honor. But they were very open to it, and they really started doing more about representing African Americans who had been in soldiers, in all the levels, of all the different eras of combat and soldier involvement. And I came up with, I said, Dad, we ought to do an exhibit. And what it was, we called it back then black and blue and gray. But when I say gray was the uniform of the Confederacy then. And a lot of people would say that blacks fought on the Confederate side. And so we also went to prove that that was not true. Only time that they would fight because they were still in slavery, and they would follow their masters. Especially a lot of the say ranking officers would come from prominent families, and they had plantations and they had slaves. So when they went to service, they took a servant with them, and a lot of times, even in battle, that servant would wear a Confederate uniform,
Oh, wow.
and so they really. I mean, I'm sure that there were some rare situations where maybe a former slave had fired a weapon or something, but that was not what it was about. They still served as slaves. They were not free as soldiers in the Union Army who fought as free men. So that's how how we really got involved in it. We wanted to tell the story of the contributions of African Americans in the Civil War, and because it wasn't much known about it. I would go around. I remember one time I was downtown and I had the Mary Walker van, and we had just had an exhibit out at the mall when the Hamilton Place Mall first opened, and they hadn't filled a lot of spaces. So I got some sponsors, and we did what we call Museum in the Mall, and we had a section about the Civil War. So I was downtown with the van, and a banker came out of one of the banks, white banker, and he saw the van. He said, "Aren't you with that organization that has the exhibit out there in the mall?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, he said, "I never knew that blacks had anything to do with fighting the Civil War." He said, "I never knew." Now, he wasn't the only one. I mean, there were some of our people who didn't know.
It's a lot of people today still don't know. They don't know today.
So I called it upon myself. And my father. We saw we would expand that exhibit, and we did. We took it to, and we didn't have a lot of money. I mean, we making stuff out of crepe paper and typing paper and stuff like that. But I took the Regional History Museum was downtown, and I was on that board. It's not existing anymore. It's called Regional History. But they saw my exhibit, and they said we would love to take it and redo it with the proper material, and they did it. I mean, for free.
Wow! You talking about the Chickamauga battlefield? Did
no,
this?
We're not there yet. This was the
the
Regional History Museum that used to be downtown.
Okay, Regional History Museum.
In an old school building down there.
Okay.
And they took it, and because they had some professional people, and they fixed it up very nice. And we were able to take it on tour, and feel really confident that it looked nice. And of course, it's been to Chattanooga State, it's been to UTC, it's been to Chickamauga Battlefield, where they had to see it first. I had to take part of it because they need to see that it was up to standard from what are, what they represent. So I brought pieces of it and showed it to them. They said, "Mr. Edwards, this is obviously up to standard on what we would like represented in our facility." So we were the first Black exhibit on Black soldiers that ever appeared at the Chickamauga Battlefield. I mean, the Times Free Press did a story on it. It was huge.
It's beautiful. I'm telling you, I have pride. Mm-hmm. I have pride walking through the museum and reading the contributions of Black soldiers and what it really means to us today, to be free, and how the Black soldiers sacrifice. And just looking at the mannequins in the uniforms, it just touched me in a different kind of way. It's one thing when somebody tell you the story, but when you can actually physically read it and see it for yourself, it touches you a whole different kind of way.
Really does.
So this exhibit is amazing. It's amazing.
And the reason why it's called Gateway to Freedom is because all during slavery, slavery was a horrible thing. I often think about what James Weldon Johnson says in the song "Lift Every Voice and Sing." And one of those verses, he says, "When hope unborn had died, we came through that." When hope, slavery, 400 years of slavery, they couldn't see an end to it. They thought that they would always be like that,
Yes.
So, and they had no hope. And if they did have hope, it was gone. That's what James Johnson was saying before they could even think about freedom or hope. It was gone out of their mind, But there were people like Frederick Douglass and hundreds of other Black people with few white people who fought to end slavery. The abolitionists who fought, who went to the White House and talked to the presidents that, this has got to stop, and this has got to do. This is inhuman. It's not Christian. They would just really uh, 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 just press it on and on for years and years. And Frederick Douglass was one of those people. But okay, here comes the Civil War. Here comes the Civil War. And the Union just assumed that they could whip the South easily. But no. Those old country boys down there in the woods and stuff, they knew how to shoot. And most of the war was fought in the South. They knew the land. I mean,
Yeah.
they wasn't nothing to play with, So, and they realized, and Frederick Douglass realized that too. He even let his son join the 54th Massachusetts, the first all-black company. Two of his sons.
Yeah.
But he told President Lincoln, if you let the black man fight, you can win this war. If you train, and they looked at it, oh no, that's not possible. No, he said, you need to win this war. And once you put that uniform on that black man, you put a rifle in his hand, you put those.
Ooh, we got crazy with it.
There's no way you can make him a slave again. There's no way.
We mad anyway. We So we want to be free.
But those soldiers went to war and fought valiantly, earning, Congressional Medals of Honor. They served above and beyond the call of duty. They made us proud. And even after that, they went to the west. Unfortunately, they put them out west to fight the Indians who, unfortunately went through a similar thing. But they even, showed out there in the west, and even some slaves had already escaped and gone and went to the Indian tribes. And that's another thing we're going to talk about in the future, the African American West, and how some of these Indians, these blacks went to the Indian tribes and became chief of Indian tribes as well, and it's just amazing. But the bottom line is, let's go back to Mary Walker Foundation. Why is the Mary Walker Foundation? My father realized in the early 80s, the reading levels of children and adults were at their lowest point in America.
Yes.
This woman who had never learned how to read, she had a Bible that was given to her by the American Bible Society, where she had the birth of her son in there, 1848. We have that on display. She talks about all of that and wanting to learn how to read. She was an obscure woman. When she went to Potts Home, to the Potts Home high rise that now bears her name, Mary Walker.
Yes, Mary Walker Tower.
Nobody knew who she was. She was an old lady who lived in a community out there in South Chattanooga, and she would cook food for the homeless and feed people who needed. She'd go to church. I think it was New Hope that was out there, and so even when she got sick and couldn't walk, she would crawl up the steps to go in. But she wanted to read so bad, and so we realized that there were other people like her, other slaves. Even Frederick Douglass could not read, and when the mistress was teaching him how to read, sitting down there on those steps, and the master came and scolded her, said, "Don't you never teach a nigga how to read? So you teach him how to read, you can never make a slave out of him." He saw the power in that. He said, "That's something to that." And he's self-educated. I want people, have you ever heard his 1850, he was asked to speak on the 4th of July in New York about what is the 4th of July to the African American, to the Black American. That speech is off the chain. This man never went to school in his life. You talking about somebody who's been a doctor with the highest level. He was so eloquent that when he came down on America, I mean, he lambasted. You got to read it. I can't explain it to you.
What's the name of the book, Dr. Edwards? What's the name of the book?
It's just look up the story online. Ask Frederick Douglass, his speech, what is the 4th of July to the African American?
Okay.
4th of July. And anyway, he dedicated himself to get soldiers to fight in the Civil War because he knew that was the gateway. that would open the door. And this is what we're talking about, the gateway to freedom. Those things that open the door, learning how to read, Black inventions, stuff that they contributed to society, the street light, the traffic light,
Yes.
automatic lubricator that made machinery run by itself for the first time. You used to have to oil stuff every once in a while because it would dry out, But you had people who were even Eli Whitney, who invented the
cotton gin.
He said the idea from a Black slave who had a comb device. And slaves, you got to realize this, slaves were always making their job easier if they could.
Right.
He had this comb device, and you have to break up the seeds in the middle of the cotton. And
right.
And he was doing that. And he saw the Black man doing that. And he said, "Oh, that's brilliant." And he came up with the cotton gin. But there's so many stories like that,
Woo!
We were not allowed to have patents, even when we had invented them for a long time. Granville T. Woods, he had like over 50, 60 patents dealing with the railroad that revolutionized the railroad. It's just
that's gonna be the next exhibit.
Gonna be the next.
That's gonna be the next one. We're gonna bring that one too. I'm excited about that one too. So many of us, Sheryl, our age group, we were taught American history in school, and schools were desegregated when we came along. They weren't segregated, so we missed some of the most valuable, I think, history relative to Black people because we were integrated, and we weren't allowed to learn. Black history in the history books was 1 or 2 pages. One page was Martin Luther King, and the other page was Malcolm X. And Malcolm X hardly didn't get a whole page. He may have got a couple of lines, but that was basically it.
You're so right, because I came up in that era, and our Black teachers, they went far and beyond what they were supposed to do.
Absolutely.
They taught us about Black history, of what they knew. They read. They brought books that we had not seen before and stuff, and just taught us things that we should know. How to dress, how to do different things. They went the extra mile. We don't have those teachers anymore that committed. Like I know. Don't let me say that. I got to be a few.
Well, we're gonna change that.
Yeah, people who went the extra mile, and in this atmosphere, it's so much going on at the school. The teachers can't wait to get home and stuff like that, and get out of that stuff. Parents don't, instead of coming supporting the school, and they come and supporting some child who's acting a fool, and clowning and stuff like that. Don't mess with my child, and the child is always, I bet, boy, my dad would come to school if I was clowning and whip me.
They better not call your parents.
Oh, I begged the principal one day. I did something, went to the office, and he said, I'm gonna have to whip you. I said, whip me, but don't call my daddy. Just don't call my dad.
You're right. You're right.
We don't have parents like that no more, no more.
That's right. So we've lost that. And some of the things that I believe in the Black culture that we've lost is due to the fact that we got integrated. I hate to say that word. We got integrated and we lost so much in the process of integration. And our culture, we're losing that. We only have a little bit left. We're about to lose it, but we're going to come back.
We're going to
come back, and we got to come back with a vengeance, because we can't afford to be a group of people, Black folk in this country, who have lost every single bit of their culture and what makes them different. We cannot allow that to happen. Sheryl is not going to allow that to happen. Dr. Wood is not going to allow that to happen. In fact, we're going to get with Al Sharpton. We're going to figure out how we can make sure that the Black culture is not lost, because that would be a tragedy to American history. And so we have got to do our part. That's why we have the African American Education and Heritage Museum, named on purpose, because we have the educational component and the heritage component, because we have to keep them both. And we have to make sure that our children have access to it. They've gotten rid of the books. They ban books in schools. They are forbidding the principals. Lord, we got some Black principals that would love for their kids to take a field trip to learn about Black history. And some of the white teachers and the white principals, they want their kids to get that history. But because of the way the laws now have been set up to ban these kids from getting this valuable information, which would make them a better person as a whole. It's become increasingly difficult. So we're going to have to rely upon our churches, upon our other organizations in the community. We got to rely on white folks too to be a part of this, so that their children don't lose our culture. They need to know our culture too. It's not just for us. I tell people I have a doctorate degree and a couple other bachelor's degrees. And they say, well, Dr. Woods, you know a whole lot. College taught you a whole lot. Science and math and all this other stuff. What did you learn the most from college? Out of all the stuff they taught you, all the degrees you have, what did you learn the most? And my answer is, and will always be the same. I learned how to communicate with people of diverse backgrounds and learn their culture so that I could be successful no matter where I went, no matter what room I went in. I would be comfortable because I wasn't afraid of something because I didn't understand. So that's where we've got to get people comfortable with understanding that Black culture is a beautiful culture. It's a beautiful culture. The things that we do, yes, it's different, but that's what makes us good. That's what makes other cultures good, because they're different. And I starve to learn about the other cultures because I know it's going to increase who I am in learning about who they are. So that's what this is all about. That's what it's all about. Getting to know one another so that as a country, we can be a greater country and a better country.
Right. Dr. Woods, that gate, we talked about gateway. That gate we're still opening that gate. I mean, it's open. A lot of us have gone through, but people like you and other people, myself, hopefully, Johnny Holloway, they continue to open that gate, the gateway to freedom, because we're still not truly free,
That's correct. And we're not radical. That's the word I hate to hear people say. Certain people are radical. It was radical because we've gotten so far away from humanity and what's right to do toward our fellow man that when people stand up for what's right, it looks wrong. It looks radical. It is not radical. It's right.
Well, we have to stop carrying other people's conversation. We have to keep our own conversation going. The schools is just one entity, and that's it. But we have a nation of people like you, Mr. Edwards, and people like John Lewis that left his legacy. All of the history that you all carry and you pass it on, that's what our goal is. That's what our challenge and our work is to keep that information going.
Yes.
And that's what we do. And because they taking the books out of schools and they stop, we don't care about what they do, because we have the knowledge and we have the understanding. We have people like you and other people that give us that information so we can keep it going.
And we want every Black book, every book that has Black history to be donated to the Chattanooga African American Education and Heritage Museum, because we will put it in our library and make sure that it is not lost. That information is not lost. And I know that the Mary Walker Foundation is full of books and full of information that you don't have to throw it away. You don't have to burn it. You don't have to do any of that, because there are institutions that still care and that still want to educate the community about African American history and its culture, and its heritage. That's our job. That's our role. Wow. We would be a failure. We would be a failure to be an institution, and I would say a Black-ran institution, a 501c3 nonprofit, charitable, tax-exempt organization for this community to not do the things that we are called to do to empower our community. So that's what it's all about. And we're going to do that as long as I'm the president, and then I'm going to pass it on to somebody else who can do the same thing, who has just as much desire to see the African-American community flourish and to see the African-American community thrive and our history and our culture be maintained in this country. That's what we're going to do. And I thank you, Dr. Edwards. I thank you. I thank you. And whatever you do with your son, I know he's your protege. You're going to leave all this stuff for him. And you make sure that he understands that he has to keep the dream alive from you like you did for your dad. Yeah. And he has to make sure that this information, this wealth of knowledge that you have, that you're passing on to him, gets back in the community, and that it's not just stored away somewhere where nobody will ever get. That's what I love about Mr. Holloway and Dr. Edwards, is that they have all this information and they're sharing it. They're not keeping it in their bedrooms or in their living rooms, in their closets, where nobody else can see it and learn about it. They're putting it out there. I love this museum. I love this museum because you can take your things, and with the Mary Walker Foundation, people have somewhere they can go and really learn about the true history of African American and our participation in the success of this wonderful country called the United States of America.
That's right.
So the next day, and you all please put this on your calendar. Don't miss it, because it's going to be the one time that adults and children can come to the museum absolutely free. The children will always be able to come to the African American Educational Heritage Museum free, but adults, you will be free. Entrance is free on Martin Luther King holiday. That is going to be January the 20th. We're going to have a nice reception. It's going to start at 4 p.m. I know that the Unity Group has a parade. They do it every year, a wonderful parade. But after that parade, you all get in your car and head over to the Chattanooga African American Education and Heritage Museum and see this amazing Civil War Museum exhibit that's been put on display by Dr. Edwards and the we call them the military folks. The
American Legion.
The American Legion. The American Legion post number 0291. And we will have them there in person to answer questions. Mr. Johnny Holloway, our iconic civil rights leader, who we are still blessed to have in our presence, will be there as well. To help you. The museum is not just a Civil War exhibit, but we have other exhibits. We have a slave ship that's on exhibit, a replica of the slave ship with a list of every ship that ever sailed the sea. The names of those ships are on display. We just have so much. The kings and queens of Africa, everything. It is a beautiful sight to see. And we're inviting all of you to come over on the 20th of January. It starts at 4 p.m. You'll have an opportunity to meet all these great folks. I know there's some other folks in history. Miss Mime that's scheduled to be there to be a part of this. Mr. Edwards have invited some great people to come out. Don't miss this opportunity to see what I have already seen. Probably bring you to tears. To see what we have on display for you guys. I won't tell it all, but Mr. Edwards, Dr. Edwards, that's his new name, Dr. Edwards. We're going to get that honorary degree. Dr. Edwards have went through so much, him and his dad, to preserve history, Black history in this community. So he is now known as the go-to person for Black history in Chattanooga. And he's earned that. He's earned that. And so we want to make sure that you all can partake of some of this that he has to share with our community on the 20th of January at this big open exhibit of the Civil War. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. And Sheryl has joined me I got to give her a minute to chime in, Dr. Edwards, because the Nashville branch, and now we are connected to the hip. We are connected to the hip with Chattanooga as one of the first National Action Network branches in Tennessee. They started 3 years ago. And they are going to have an amazing event coming up. And Reverend Al Sharpton will be in the house live in person. She's got a lineup out of this world that's going to be there to speak. I'm not going to steal her thunder because I'm going to let her go ahead and tell what's on the horizon this year, 2025.
Yeah. So, hello, everyone. Glad to be here. And you know what? There's no place I'd rather be stuck in the snow is with Dr. Woods. I love her and I love the work that she's doing here in Chattanooga. In Nashville, we have been effective since 21, and we have a lot of work that we do in Nashville. Dr. Edwards, I heard you mention TSU, and right now TSU is in trouble.
They are. Yes, they are.
Have they back, and they can't have TSU, no matter who the president is or what's going on, still can't have TSU.
That's right.
And not the Avery Williams campus nor TSU campus. And so we're gonna fight, and we're gonna keep fighting until they understand to get your hands off our schools.
That's so real.
Yeah, but I mean, we do a lot of work there in Nashville. We have big event that's happening in May of 2025. We have Reverend Al Sharpton is going to present us again. We'll get a definite okay, but we're looking for him to come back again this year. And we have also all of the families that have been affected by gun violence, by police brutality, or some. We have George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Tyrese Nichols. We have a lot of the families that's going to be in Nashville on that day, May 15th also. So we have a big event. It's called our Black Diamond Ball, and we're looking forward to it, and we're putting it together, and it's going to be amazing. And we have a lot of work that we do in Nashville. And January the 20th, we have a whole week of events happening. And they have a bus that's leaving around the country going to Washington on January the 20th for the Martin Luther King event.
Yes. And I understand also on your diamond, your Black Diamond event, not only is Reverend Al Sharpton going to be there, which Chattanooga, you know, we brought Reverend Al Sharpton to Chattanooga. So let me give us a little shout, a pat on the back. Reverend Al Sharpton. In fact, I got his portrait in the background that we still owe him, that we got to get to him. Right. We probably give it to him in April when we go to the national convention. Yes, but also Dr. Glenda Glover is going to be one of your speakers on your Diamond event that day too. And then we have another special, Mariah Huff, who was just honored with you, John Edwards. I don't know how that popped up on the screen, but she's going Dr. Edwards, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, we hit the wrong button. I'm sorry and cut us off. I'm sorry for that. Sorry for that interruption.
Y'all make sure that we get that information that you're talking about, to the paper so we can, get it in. especially about the fair in Nashville and anything that you got going on. Just make sure that we get that information. I may have to show up at that ball myself, you know.
Oh, I'm gonna be there. I ain't missing that.
We have tables, and we're going to be sending out this week. Next week, we're going to be sending out save the dates. So we're preparing and getting everything together. We want tables. We want everybody to come. It's going to be amazing.
Yes. For all of our members here in Chattanooga, our very first meeting will be held this coming up week on the 14th. Our secretary, if you haven't got the memo, I'll make sure today, now that we out in the snow, that you all get the information. It's going to be a virtual meeting, the first meeting, so that everybody can kind of get familiarized with who our officers are. I will also be in person at the Chattanooga Civic Center at Mountainside for those who want to come in person. So if you haven't joined, you can join that evening and just kind of get to know who I am, and any of our officers that can be available will be there. But we'll be hosting this event virtually on the 14th at 7 p.m. So it's going to be in the evening. So everybody will be home from work. You'll be able to kind of join us from your homes or wherever you may be for that 1 hour meeting. And please don't miss that meeting. And if you don't know, if you're a member or not, you think you are, but you don't know, you can reach out to me and I will look your membership up. If you have not got your card, we do know that the National was a little bit behind on giving out the cards. You will get your card. If you paid your dues, you will get your card. I think Reverend Toon is the person who is overseeing that. And they had a little bit of issues going on with trying to get the information out. But they are, I think they've got all settled and taken care of. So we're on top of that so that you get your cards.
Yeah, and we also we're going to be collaborating with the Chattanooga chapter. We have 4 different chapters that's here in Tennessee now. That's Memphis, Jackson, Chattanooga, Nashville, and we're working on Knoxville. And we'll have the whole state all locked in, because when we work together and educate our community, and then we'll have a community that's a force to be reckoned with. We do a lot of credit repair, helping people build their credit. We're helping people get their records expunged. We're helping them get their driver's license back. So we're going to be doing a workshop here and there at Chattanooga sometime coming soon. That's date to be announced. But it's going to be really big. We're going to be helping people get these jobs and just getting themselves on their feet. Because once you build a community, and then we'll have all of the knowledge and know your rights to get ourselves together ourselves.
That's correct. So please don't miss this meeting on Tuesday. It's Tuesday. And if you know people that probably have not looked at this show, let them know. We're going to send a link out to everyone. If you have an email, you get a link to join our first meeting. Our board has already met. We're going to meet again. We meet every month. We meet on the second Sunday. The board members meet on the second Sunday every month. And the general membership is the second Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. And you can join us virtually or in person on this first meeting. And after that, most of the meetings will be virtual. We'll meet 4 times a year in person. Okay. So anything else you want to throw out there? The National Convention for the National Action Network is April the 2nd through the 5th. We'll have a lot of information on that. Also, hopefully in our meeting that we're going to have Tuesday, I know that Sheryl is keeping her members updated with that. They don't have the hotel information yet, but as soon as they get the hotel information, we'll be passing that on to everybody, and maybe even offer some bus services for people to get from where they are in their cities to the place in New York. It's going to be New York. I can't wait.
It's amazing. It's going to be in Manhattan. We stay at the Sheraton, and once that open up, we ask everybody to get their tickets and get to New York. Make sure you book your hotel room because they go fast. But April the 2nd to the 5th, we'll have an amazing week with Reverend Al Sharpton and a lot of the people there in New York.
Yes, this is one you don't want to miss. And you know what? My children have been to New York, but I have not been to New York. Out of all the places around the world I've been, I have not been to New York. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait to get there April the 2nd. I'm going to be there a little bit before the 2nd to enjoy some of the stuff that goes on in New York. I can't wait. And so I just want to thank you, Mr. Edwards, number one, for being who you are and for continuing to care. You know, when you care about a community, sometimes it's one of the most thankless job and position to have is to love your community and give back to it. It's very thankless, but God has put in you the spirit that he put in you. And when God puts the spirit in you, you have to move. You cannot sit on it because he won't let you sit on it, you see. So we are grateful. We owe a lot to you. We owe even more to your father and your mother for having you. And we love you. And we love your wife, Faith, because, you know, behind every good, strong man is a good, strong woman. And so we thank her for being with you by your side, especially in those wild days when you was wilding out. She stayed
like when she helped me get set up for this whole thing. I'm no good at this right here. She helped me get set up. She sent all the stuff. You know, she is a great partner.
She's awesome. She's awesome. So I want to say to her, thank you for all that you do to support Dr. Edwards and the Mary Walker Foundation and the Chattanooga News Chronicle, standing up all night, making sure that these papers get out and that they look incredible like they look. I know who's behind it. You know, I know who's behind it. So, you know, we have to tell the truth. We know who's behind it. But you the leader, though. You still ahead. You still ahead. You still ahead.
The head can't turn without that.
The head can't turn without the neck. So we are so grateful for you and everything that you have done for this community. You know, your work is not in vain. We're gonna make sure that it's not in vain because we're gonna give you every opportunity you need and have to get out what you want to get out through Alton Park Development Corporation, through the museum, anything that you want. We're going to make sure that you're at the forefront. And that's why I'm going to send out to everybody right now the opportunity to support the Chattanooga News Chronicle. If we can get information on where they could send money to, donations, if they want to just drop by, an address of where you're located, a website, something that we can do here to help keep that newspaper alive and publishing every day, because it's through the Chattanooga News Chronicle that all of us are informed about what's happening in the Black community. And we cannot afford to let anything happen to the Chattanooga News Chronicle. So Dr. John Edwards, can you please give us the website where people can go and donate, or a phone number, address? I know it's in your newspapers because we get the newspaper, but just you got the stage. You're on worldwide. You're all over the world today. So we can get money from anywhere in the world just by you giving them this information today.
Well, you know, you got ChattanoogaNewsChronicle.com. Of course, our email chatnewschronicle at let's see.
Is it Chattanooga News Chronicle Inc. or News Chronicle? I'm sorry, News Chronicle Inc. INC at gmail.com.
Gmail.com. There you go. You know better than I do.
Yeah, we'll get that.
That's it.
If I were director who's on the line, if he could, I sent you that email earlier.
Yeah.
Michael, can you please put that on this show right here, scroll it across so people will know how to contact him and Faith if they want to give a donation, if they want to put an ad in their newspaper, if they want to do a story in their newspaper. You have to reach out to them directly. If you would some kind of way put that email on the bottom, and can you give them the phone number, Dr. Edwards, or where they can call you directly and talk to you?
Okay, that's 423-267-2313.
Okay, you all got it. We're going to put it on the bottom of the screen because Michael's going to do that. And I want to thank you once again for coming on the show. Don't forget, it is January the 20th, this year, 2025, the grand opening of the Civil War Museum, where we are giving tribute to the Black soldiers who served in the Civil War. And we want to thank the Chickamauga Battlefield. We want to thank the Chattanooga News Chronicle, Dr. Edwards and his wife, Faith Edwards. And we want to thank the American Legion, post number 0291, and of course, the Alton Park Development Corporation and the Chattanooga African American Education and Heritage Museum for putting on this fantastic Civil War exhibition for you all. It will be on exhibit all the way through the end of Black History Month, which is February. So starting on the 20th of January to February 28th, 2025. You all come on out, and if you need.
And the advertisement on the event is in the Chattanooga News Chronicle, and get your copy of that.
Okay, I'm definitely.
Local church, or you can come to the office and get it. There's a machine in front of the office that we always keep papers in, but they're at local African American businesses as well.
Yes, and if you want to donate to Alton Park Development Corporation, there's many ways. Just go to our website, APDC 98. Oh yeah, on the screen now, it's showing the email for the Chattanooga News Chronicle, and also you can visit their website on chatnewschronicle.com, or you can call them directly at area code 423-267-2313. You all have the man of the hour in the house on WPTP 100.1 FM radio. You can watch this over and over and over because we have a what we call a YouTube channel and a Facebook page where these shows are recorded, and they're there forever in our library for you to go back and watch it. We want you to like it, and we want you to share it. We want you to become a member of it by joining our sites, and definitely you can give contributions to Alton Park Development Corporation through apdc98.org, and you can call us and email us. Everything is going across the bottom. Alton Park Development Corporation is the owner of the Chattanooga Civic Center at Mountainside. We were blessed, and through this facility, we are able to house the Chattanooga African American Education and Heritage Museum, and our radio station, and our event hall, and our school, our African American school in this facility, and a thrift store, and a Mercy Dental Clinic, and a computer center for everybody. God has blessed us with a community civic center for us to get everything that we need, and we are empowered through you and what you are giving us to make sure that we pay the bills, to keep the lights on, the water on, the sewage, the tax, property, everything paid so it can be nice for you. So we are doing some renovation. We're still going through renovation. We're trying to update those bathrooms. You know, it was built in 1963. At the height of the civil rights movement for Black children. It was a segregated school, and we are still trying to get it up to par. It is a fantastic building. I think anybody that's ever walked through that building will tell you that it was made. That is a solid building, but we just want to enhance it and make it even better for us to enjoy today. So I thank everybody for giving contributions in the past. I cannot stop saying congratulations and thank you to our board for being there for us, and those amazing people at the county for giving us the $450,000 of the COVID money to help us do the renovations that you see that have been done so far, the heating and air, and all the other things that we've done to enhance that building. I want to thank those brave men and women on the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners for giving us that first big, I call it the first big grant that we have received. And we thank them for continuing to support us. Our commissioner, Mr. Joe Graham, who is the commissioner for that district, I want to just say thank you to him, because every time he have a little extra crumb left over from his discretionary money, he always sent it to Alton Park Development Corporation to help us continue to do what the things that we need to do. So thank you, Commissioner Joe Graham, and all the other commissioners. You had Warren Mackey and Greg Beck and all the other ones who have been with us in the past before we owned the building, that have helped us to keep this only African-American left. I say it's the only African-American Community Development Corporation left in Hamilton County. They have did the things that they needed to do back then to keep hope alive, and that's why we're still here. So kudos to them and all the folks who have joined on with them, and those who have not joined on yet, going to after this show. We want to thank you all for continuing to contribute to us. And now we have the National Action Network that also is housed in that amazing building that will be bringing a whole lot of stuff to Chattanooga to help our people. So I thank Sheryl, because Sheryl is a beautiful person, because the stuff that she's sharing with our chapter here, she could be selfish and just keep it all to Nashville, but she has opened up her heart, and she has given me a whole lot of stuff, and have made it easy for our chapter to just step right on in and do some of the things that they have been doing 4 years ago, but we're just jumping in because she's equipped us with this knowledge right off, and I don't have to do a lot of research because of that. So I thank you for being a friend, for being the leader that you are in National Action Network, and we're gonna do this thing. I'm telling you, we're gonna do this thing, and I thank all of you all for joining National Action Network. Those who want to join, can't wait to join. You have an opportunity to join. Hence, now and forever. It's $25 for a whole year. $25. We spend $25 when we go to McDonald's. We got a couple of kids in the car. It's gone. $25, and you can be equipped with the knowledge that you need and all of the benefits of being a member of National Action Network. We got a ton of stuff we got to share. We're gonna do some TV show. We're going on Channel 3. Now, y'all know how I do it. 3, 9, 12, Chattanooga News Chronicle, the Chattanooga Times Free Press. Why? Because it's just that important for us to get the word out to the community about what is available for them to be empowered, to get educated, and to continue to build wealth, generational wealth in their community, and come up off all this other stuff they've been doing. It's just that important. And you got the right one. Y'all know me. You got the right one. And so I thank God for allowing me to serve and to honor you. It's an honor. It's an honor and a privilege to serve in this capacity to help our people. And I thank y'all for giving me that opportunity. Y'all know today is Saturday. Before I get to that, Dr. Edwards, one last line, anything you want them to know. It doesn't have to be about what we're talking about. Anything else you want the community to know and the world to know today?
Well, I want our young people to know that, and I've got this T-shirt today, and this is how I feel. This is why I feel like that I should continue to do more to honor my foreparents. This is what my shirt says. Can you read that?
I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. Oh, look at that! I want one of those. I want one of those. Where you get this shirt?
And we are all our ancestors, because they never dreamed. Some never dreamed that we could get this far. It would be their greatest dream, and we have to work harder to make it even greater.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I want one of those shirts. I don't know where you got it from, but I want one of those.
Can you order it?
Yeah.
Do you have them? You want some of those shirts?
Yes.
I forgot, either my wife or my office manager, one of them ordered it. I'll find out who.
Yes. Okay. You're gonna put that in the Chattanooga News Chronicle for folks can order through your organization. Where they can order it. Oh yeah, I love it. So y'all know, Sheryl, last comment.
I just want to say that Dr. Edwards, when you said that your mother used to drag you around as a
Yeah.
child, and
Yeah.
now look at you now. I did the same thing with my three.
Yeah.
I brought them around with me. I was working with the NAACP. I brought them out there and everything. And now my children are doing the same thing. So it's each one teach one. That's all that's what I say. Each
my
one.
mother, I mean, you know, my dad got a lot of publicity and everything, but my mother was the backbone of the family.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
she stayed at home, raised the children, you know, always invested in us. You know.
Yes. Yeah. So I feel blessed today. I feel so renewed in my spirit for hope. You know, sometimes you get depressed and down. You think, oh Lord, we're just going backwards. You know, we're just not. But today I feel a fresh breath of air because it feels like God just blew the wind in and said, I'll give y'all a little bit more of what you need to get where you're trying to go. I feel great in 2025. I feel great. And I feel great because I think everything that's happening is happening for a reason. And it has pulled us together as a people, for real, and as a nation to move forward in a positive direction. And we're going to do it because we got the right people in power. We got the right people in power.
That's right.
And y'all know how we get down. Y'all know how we get down. We're not going to let nothing happen to you. We're not going to let nothing happen to you. But you know what? You got to be in the right. Get in the right. Get in the right. Y'all know how Dr. Woods and Sheryl work. We cannot support you when you're in the wrong. Right. But when you are in the right and you have been done wrong, we coming for you. We coming. We coming. We are there. 100, we are there. And so I want to say to everybody, I hope your new year was great. I know your Christmas was great. And this year, 2025, I want you to be all that you can be. I want you to do everything in your power to make it a better year for you. That's right. You know, go out, start a new business, do whatever you think you need to do to be a better person. And let us help you. You got Dr. Edwards, you got Sheryl here, you got me here, and so many other resources. It is no reason for you not to be all that you can be while we are still here. While we are still here, use this wisdom. Don't be so young and crazy and wild and out there that you don't forget that there's some wisdom in this house. That's right. That we can pass on to you to make your road a lot smoother. All you got to do is tap into it, and we are here. We are here. Today is Saturday. Tomorrow is Sunday. Y'all know how I end my show. You got to go somewhere and praise the Lord and tell him how grateful you are and how thankful you are for all the blessings that he has bestowed upon you. And now with the technology, look at us. I'm in my living room with Sheryl, and John Edwards is in his studio in a whole nother location. He's in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm here in Cohutta, Georgia, right outside of Dalton, Georgia. And we are in the studio together with this interview. He on one side of the screen, I'm on the other screen. He can see me, I can see him, vice versa. And we are still doing, y'all can go to church from your bedroom. That's what we're doing right now.
Right.
All you got to do is get on your internet, turn your phone on. Some of y'all do your internet through your telephone. Some of you got your laptops and things, but you can just tap into those, what we call them, live stream shows from the churches, and go to church right from your bedroom. Right. If you got company and you just got a lot of stuff to do and you can't get to the church, you can worship the Lord in your kitchen. You can worship the Lord in your living room, in your bathroom, any way you want to go, whether it's internet, you can go to church and praise the Lord and give him thanks because he wants to hear from us. He loves to hear from his people. And so when we praise him, it lifts him up even higher. And so you all do that. And then really you should be praising the Lord every day, 24/7. He says pray without ceasing. So you can do it all day long, even in your car. Just give him praise. But tomorrow is Sunday. Give him that one day, at least that one day. And y'all are always welcome to Greater Emmanuel Apostolic Church, which is my church home, where Pastor Paul Warfield Jr. is our pastor. And you know how we get down. I'm not even the pastor. I'm not the preacher. So I'm on fire like this. What you know. So y'all are always welcome to come to our church, located at 400 Tunnel Boulevard. Just come by. If you just want to check out Dr. Woods Church and see what they do. I may not be there tomorrow, y'all. There's too much snow and ice on the ground. But I'm gonna be watching from my bedroom or living room somewhere. I'm way out here in Georgia, and these roads, they don't salt the roads on the back roads in these country hills. But still, come out, go to church, praise the Lord, and give Him thanks. We are in our Daniel fast. We just came off of a dry fast. We did a 3-day dry fast, and now we're in our Daniel fast. And I'm already seeing the wonderful works of the Lord. He's just revealing so much and opening up so many doors of opportunity. He's just doing it. He's moving. So when you all get in line with the Lord and really, really focus and pray with Him, you'll be surprised at what the Lord will do. He'll show out. He will show out. He will show out. He's showing out right now. He's showing out right now. And I just want to thank Him publicly, the Lord. I want to thank Him because He never failed me yet. He said He wasn't going to leave me or forsake me, and He didn't. He said, I'm going to bring you the right people. All I want you to do is just stand, and let me do all the work. And that's exactly what God is doing. So the blessings that you see, the wonderful things that you see going on, it is just us being obedient to God and standing and letting Him bring the right people to the right place at the right time, and it's always in God's time. So I just want to give praise to Him for everything that you see going on with Alton Park Development Corporation, with the museum and all the other things that we talk about. I give Him praise because He is worthy of the praise, and He alone. To God be the glory. So I will see you all next Saturday. I think we have the Community Summit is going to be live on the show next Saturday. They're doing a big event for one of our local artists. It's her day. She got a day, Denise Day, and they're honoring her on, I think it's Super Bowl night at the Civic Center. They're gonna have a live concert honoring her at the Civic Center in our event hall, and they're gonna be live on the show next Saturday. So kudos to Denise Dave and all the things that you have accomplished in Chattanooga. We look forward to seeing your group next Saturday. So until next Saturday, peace and blessings.